Time was we flew the friendly skies, and gas was a bargain. But these days, Kris van Cleave tells us travel often means trouble.
Fasten your seatbelts. There's travel turbulence ahead.
Another day, another slew of flight cancellations.
A lot of people will have to decide, drive or fly.
I mean, who doesn't know someone whose flight wasn't canceled?
What started as a summer of so-called revenge travel after 2 years of the pandemic has turned into travel hell.
I'm extremely frustrated and disappointed.
They got a few people on board and then all of a sudden canceled the flight.
I can't even get home now. I don't know how I'm going to get home.
Thank you.
Kendall Young and her kids were not about to risk losing a minute at Disney World this weekend.
In case we did miss this one, I had an extra day to catch up. So if we did cancel, I kind of built in an extra day.
48 million are expected to be on the move this Independence Day weekend, the busiest of the pandemic, and the nation's airlines are struggling to keep up. Since Memorial Day, in the U.S. alone, over 200,000 flights have been delayed, 24,000 canceled, impacting nearly 2.4 million passengers, roughly the population of Houston. That's up from pre-pandemic levels, while the airlines are flying up to 25% less than 2019 and charging 45% more for airfare.
Is it fair to say this is the airline's fault?
There's shared responsibility. Airline and aviation is a team sport.
Henry Hartevelt is an airline industry analyst and founder of Atmosphere Research in San Francisco.
What went wrong this summer?
It seems everything has gone wrong. One, airlines are still working to rehire pilots, flight attendants, and other employees. Two, the FAA is still working to rehire people. Three, the airline scheduled a lot of flights. And four, we've just had bad weather, and a lot of it. You put that all together, and you have a fragile system that has no room left to flex. It just shatters.
Congress, taxpayers, bailed out the airlines so they wouldn't lay anyone off. What do you mean there aren't enough people?
The airlines got more than $50 billion in government subsidies to keep operating and to keep people working. But in the first few months, before any subsidies were guaranteed, and seeing their traffic fall by 96%, airlines panicked.
That pandemic panic led to the airlines offering early retirement to tens of thousands of employees. By December of 2020, more than 3,000 pilots took buyouts, worsening a growing pilot shortage. Delta pilots marked the start of this holiday weekend picketing at airports coast to coast. Pilot Maggie Eichhoff.
What Delta has done is overscheduled us. We just don't have the pilots right now to staff it.
And COVID continues to be an unwanted passenger, resulting in higher than normal sick calls.
This is going to be a rough summer for flights.
It's going to be a rough summer, and so we're just going to step through it as best as we can.
Captain Laura Einsettler has been an airline pilot for 27 years.
It's as frustrating for us as it is for the passengers.
You don't want your flight delayed either.
We do not want our flights delayed either. We like to be in charge, in control, and fly the schedule as we have expected it to be. Right now, we're doing things to sacrifice things like flying on our days off and giving up our vacations for ourselves.
We tried to talk to the CEOs of the nation's 4 biggest airlines, but none were available to discuss summer travel. The airlines say they have already cut 15% of their planned summer flights and are ramping up hiring and training to try to meet growing demand.
And Thursday, Delta's CEO sent a letter to customers apologizing for the recent stretch of delays and cancellations.
I had a meeting with all the airline leaders about what they're doing to prevent cancellations. The next day, I woke up in the morning, my flight was canceled.
Count Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg among the millions flying this weekend.
Is this the new normal, or is it going to get better?
This can't be normal. We can't have this number of cancellations and delays and accept it.
What's your message to the airlines?
We're counting on you. We're looking for you to provide the service that matches the tickets that you've sold. The bottom line is they need to deliver.
On Wednesday, Senator Bernie Sanders called for fines up to $55,000 per passenger if an airline cancels a flight due to staffing shortages.
Is the situation so bad that DOT should start fining airlines?
We have fined airlines where they've failed to provide refunds or treat customers well in other ways.
But not for canceling a flight for staffing.
Right. So there are other authorities that we may have, and we're going to look at it. But what I'd much rather do is just have a good outcome so that we don't even have to go there. It's clear that the airline sector is not ready to meet public expectations, and I'm concerned about that.
Whose fault is that?
I'm not interested in the blame game. I'm interested in making sure that passengers can get to where they need to be.
A record 42 million people are opting to drive this weekend, but hitting the road comes with pain in the pocketbook. Gas prices are $1.74 more on average than a year ago. Monty Kenny was gassing up at a Buc-ee's in northwest Georgia in the midst of a 3,000-mile family road trip.
Why not fly?
It's too expensive. And I've got a wife and a kid with me, so to pay for all three it'd be even more than what we're spending.
And those spending to fly aren't necessarily landing happy. Airline analyst Henry Hartevelt found 74% who flew or planned to fly said they regret their decision. But he has some advice for finding friendlier skies.
Always take a nonstop where you can.
You mean the first of the morning?
Take the first flight in the morning that you're able to take. Those are the least likely to be canceled or delayed.
He also says to pack light. Checked luggage can complicate things if you need to rebook. But most importantly, keep it light.
If something goes wrong, stay calm. But unfortunately, what you need to presume with your summer trip is something will go wrong. And if it doesn't, be grateful and maybe buy a lottery ticket.